So, this is like a map with the drill result. I'd like to sell it as a package with all the houses and underground services and just everything. In the Yukon, gold miner Parker Schnabel risked $15 million on a single piece of frozen land. His massive goal was to find 5,000 ounces of gold. Facing constant failure, his entire season was on the brink of disaster. Then his crew unearthed a truly shocking and incredible discovery. But fate had a cruel twist waiting that would turn their triumph into heartbreak. A dream that cost millions. This whole adventure really started with an idea from a famous hockey player. Parker Schnabel always remembered the quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." This simple idea pushed him to take the biggest shot of his career. It's why he spent $15 million to buy the mining rights for Dominion Creek. People had whispered for years that this land held a giant treasure, equipment, mining claims, blah 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 camp. He wants $15 million. We can't afford it. That doesn't mean we can't do it, but we can't afford it. Some thought there could be 80,000 ounces of gold hidden there, which could be worth over $160 million. But there was a very big problem. All that shiny gold was buried super deep, about 40 feet under the ground. It was hidden beneath a thick blanket of earth that was frozen solid, almost as hard as a rock. You see, making a big goal like finding 5,000 ounces of gold is the easy part. The hard part is actually finding it, especially when it feels like everything is going wrong. From the very first day they started digging, the Dominion Creek mine felt like it had bad luck. Gold Run, which was a super rich creek. And where it dumped into Dominion, I'm guessing was, in this area right here. I think there's going to be a bunch of gold in the tailings. If there is, it's great because there's no stripping. They're thawed and we need to get some money coming in. The loud roar of the giant yellow bulldozers and excavators would often be broken by the sudden awful sound of screeching and snapping metal. A machine would break down almost every single day. One day, the teeth on an excavator's bucket would snap right off. Another day, a hydraulic hose would burst, spraying hot, sticky oil everywhere and stopping the machine in its tracks. It might sound simple, but trust me, just keeping these giant machines working in the cold, wet, and muddy Klondike is a huge job all by itself. Every time a machine broke down, the whole operation had to stop. And when the machines weren't running, the crew wasn't washing any dirt, which meant they weren't finding any gold. That meant they were losing a lot of money every minute of every day. A lot of money before we ever get an ounce of gold out of here. Yeah, man. Well, I can't imagine the pressure he's under. Going from having all that money in the bank to next day having a big old debt and long time till we start seeing any gold to help pay it off. What really brings up a lot of questions is how the crew could even handle that much stress and worry. They had to work as fast as they could to fix every problem, knowing that the clock was always ticking and winter was getting closer. The feelings of the crew went up and down like a roller coaster. One week, they might have a great cleanup and find a beautiful pile of gold. On those days, everyone would be smiling, laughing, and full of hope for the future. But the next week, they might find almost nothing, just a few tiny flakes. Those were very hard days that made everyone quiet and worried and made them wonder if they were even digging in the right spot. This constant battle between hope and worry is the true story of what it's like to be a gold miner. It was a giant test to see if Parker's big, expensive dream would end up making him rich or if it would turn into a $15 million nightmare. Parker knew that to beat a challenge as big and tough as Dominion Creek, he couldn't just tell his crew to work faster. He needed to work smarter. He needed a new and better tool. His old wash plant, a machine the crew called Big Red, had worked hard for him for many years. This is not good. Music. What the happened? What the actual Big Red got a side tension bar laying down here. A wash plant is like a giant washing machine for dirt. It's a huge metal structure that uses water and shaking screens to wash away all the mud, sand, and rocks, leaving only the tiny, heavy pieces of shiny gold behind. Big Red was a good machine, but Parker knew it wasn't big enough or fast enough for the giant job at Dominion Creek. He needed something much bigger. This started him on a long journey to find the perfect machine. Nobody talks about this part much, but his search for new ideas took him all the way across the world to a country called New Zealand. He went there to see how other people mined for gold and to learn about new kinds of machines. He met with expert miners who had been doing it for their whole lives and looked at all sorts of amazing technology. He saw one machine that was truly incredible. It was a floating wash plant, a giant machine that sat on top of a big pond and sucked up dirt from the bottom. It looked like something from a science fiction movie and was one of the best machines anyone had ever seen. And here's the crazy part. Even though this floating machine was amazing, it was completely wrong for Parker. The land in the Klondike is hilly, rough, and rocky, not a calm pond. The machine just wouldn't work there. A different person might have been sad and given up, but not Parker. He got a new, even bigger idea. What nobody saw coming was that Parker decided he wouldn't buy a machine from someone else. He was going to build his very own. This kicked off a huge project that took 2 whole years of very hard work. He started designing his dream machine, which he decided to name Roxan. He wanted Roxan to be bigger, stronger, and much better at catching gold than any machine he had ever used before. All right. We got our brand new wash plat heading out to the cut. Thanks for getting this done. It's a nice setup. I like the plant. I know there's always going to be a few quirks to work out, but I like it so far. Well, she's going to take some fine-tuning, but it's washing rocks. The crew worked for months welding giant pieces of steel together, painting them bright blue, and putting it all together like a giant complicated puzzle. It was another big bet on top of the first one. He was hoping this new superhero machine would be the secret weapon that could finally unlock all the gold hiding at Dominion Creek. The shocking truth behind Roxan's first season. When Roxan was finally built and ready to go, everyone on the crew was very excited. It looked like a giant blue superhero ready for its first day of work. And its very first run was a big success. It found over 56 ounces of gold right away. But then, just like with the other machines, the problem started. A small wire came loose and shut the whole machine down. Then a big water hose broke, spraying cold water everywhere. It was a tough lesson that even a brand new expensive machine isn't magic. It still takes a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck to keep things running. The crew now had a big question. Was Roxan the amazing machine that would save their season? Or was it just another big expensive problem to solve? The long mining season kept going and the hard work was starting to make everyone feel tired and worn down. The crew worked from the early morning until late at night, but the big pile of gold they were dreaming of wasn't growing fast enough. The big goal of 5,000 still seemed very, very far away. They needed some good luck. They needed a sign from the ground that all their hard work was worth it. And right when it mattered most, just when everyone was starting to lose hope, the ground gave them a wonderful shining surprise. They made an amazing discovery. It wasn't a huge amount of gold, but something much cooler and much rarer. The team found a beautiful gold nugget that weighed 41.8 ounces. But that's not even the wildest thing. This nugget had a very special shape. It didn't look like a smooth round rock. It had a shape called dendritic, which meant it looked like a tiny perfect tree branch or a bolt of lightning that had been frozen in pure shiny gold. Because of its cool shape, the crew immediately decided to call it the Electrifying Nugget. So this is where the welcome stranger nugget was found. So that was the biggest nugget in the world. So it was pretty bloody big. Monstrous. Holy. Pretty impressive, eh? Wow. Could you imagine finding that? So, obviously this area has been hammered now, but Victoria is known for their big gold. And its unique shape meant it was a rare collector's item, and people who collect rare things would pay a lot more money for it than other gold nuggets of the same weight. This incredible find was like a gift from the earth. It made everyone happy and excited again, and it was the sign they had been hoping for. Just when they thought it was over and that the Electrifying Nugget would be the best find of the year, they found something else. At first, it just looked like a big problem. A giant boulder was stuck in the pay dirt, the layer of dirt with all the gold. It was so big it was blocking their work and stopping the whole operation. But when they got a closer look at the giant rock, they saw something amazing shining on its surface. It was gold. Thick veins of gold were running all through the rock. This wasn't just a rock in their way. It was a giant treasure chest. Here's where it gets real messy. The crew worked together very carefully to break the giant boulder open, trying not to damage whatever was inside. What they saw when it cracked open made everyone gasp. Hidden in the middle of the rock was a single giant nugget of pure gold. It was a monster. It weighed 100 The entire camp erupted in cheers and celebration. This was the kind of find that miners dream about their whole lives. A single piece of gold worth about $200,000 was the giant prize they had been fighting for all season. And this changed everything. Well, for a moment anyway. The Klondike can be a tricky place. It can give you a wonderful treasure 1 minute and then teach you a hard lesson the next. Far as the season goes, the final total was $707,381. Applause. That is unreal. Sets us up so well for the next few years. The giant nugget was so special because it was one solid, beautiful piece. But when they broke it out of the rock, the nugget itself cracked and broke into a few large chunks. In an instant, everyone's happiness turned to a little bit of sadness. The nugget was still worth a lot of money because it was still 100 ounces of pure gold, but it was no longer a single giant super rare collector's item. Its special extra value was gone. Now, this is where most people would give up, feeling crushed by the bad luck. But for Parker and his crew, it was just another lesson in the tough school of gold mining. The broken treasure was still a huge amount of gold that put them much closer to their goal. More importantly, it was the proof they needed that they were in the right place, and it made them want to work even harder to see what other secrets the ground was hiding. Every TV show has secrets, and a show as big and popular as Gold Rush has more than its share. For every ounce of gold that gets weighed on screen, there are tons of questions and ideas from fans who watch every second of the show. They talk about what might be happening when the cameras are turned off. These ideas are called fan theories. They also talk about the big real-life problems or scandals that have happened to the miners over the years. The Gold Rush scandals they tried to bury. One of the biggest questions fans always ask is about the show's drama. They wonder, is everything we see on the show real, or do they make things more exciting on purpose? This is a theory that says some of the most dramatic moments might be planned to make the show more like a movie. Fans who think this way have noticed that big problems often happen at the most exciting time. For example, a very important machine might break down just when a big snowstorm is coming. Or two friends might get into a big fight right before they are about to see how much gold they found. Is this just bad luck? Or do the people who make the show sometimes help these problems happen to build up the suspense and keep us watching? There is another, even wilder theory that some fans whisper about. This idea is called salting the pan. To salt a pan is an old miner trick. It would mean to secretly add a little bit of gold to a cleanup before it gets weighed. The theory is that if a crew is having a very bad year and not finding any gold, maybe someone from the show would secretly add a little gold to their pan. This would guarantee that the crew has a happy ending for their story. It's a shocking idea, and it is important to know that there is no proof this has ever happened. If you give me first dibs and if somebody else is going to make a deal, I'll pay for all the drug. Okay. As long as you move fast. You got a week. Most fans don't believe it because if it were true, it would ruin the show, but the idea shows how much people care about the show being real. A more believable fan theory is about the money. We see Parker spend $15 million, but the show doesn't always explain where all that money comes from. This makes fans ask, who is really paying for all of this? The hidden money theory says that there are secret partners who give the miners money. These partners would be rich business people that we never get to see on camera. They give the miners millions of dollars to buy land and machines. In return, when the miners find gold, the secret partners get a large share of the money. This would help explain how the miners can afford to take such huge risks year after year. But it's not all just theories. Some very real problems and scandals have happened over the years that have shocked the show's fans. The biggest failure in the show's history was when the Hoffman crew went to a country in South America called Guyana. Down or virgin, and they're all showing gold. Of all the pans I've had in this country, Todd, the best pans are in this valley. Awesome. Let's set it up. Todd Hoffman, the show's first main star, had a big dream of finding a jungle full of gold. But it turned into a total disaster. The jungle was too hot and muddy, and the crew was not prepared. Their machines got stuck, and they found almost no gold at all. After spending all of their money, they came home with only about 2 of gold. It was a very sad and difficult time for them and a huge story on the show. Huffman crew has been on a 6-week South American quest for gold. If this last test fails, they'll have no choice but to return to the Klondike and its $10 a yard dirt. Another big scandal happened when the show was just starting. A miner named Jimmy Dorsey left the Hoffman crew and later said that the show wasn't completely real. He said that the people who made the show told him what to say and how to act, almost like he was an actor in a movie. This was one of the first times someone from the show had said something like this, and it made a lot of fans wonder about what was real and what was just for television. Similarly, real-world legal troubles highlighted the fractures that could form between the miners. A major conflict erupted between former business partners Todd Hoffman and Dave Turin long after they worked together. Saved their ass for a little while. Go ahead and run that over there, Dave. All right, I'm headed out. Trey, please. Coward. Turin filed a lawsuit against Hoffman and his company over financial disputes. For fans who had watched their partnership for years, this legal battle was a clear sign that the pressures of the gold mining business extended far beyond what was seen on screen. The personal lives of the miners have also become sources of controversy. When Parker Schnabel's girlfriend, Ashley Ewell, who had been featured on the show working with him, left, rumors began to fly. A persistent and ugly rumor, which both have denied, was that their breakup involved her stealing gold from him. The fact that this rumor spread so widely showed how the line between the show's narrative and the cast's real lives had become blurred for many viewers. Questions about the miners' business dealings have also surfaced. The Dakota boys, Fred and Dustin Hurt, faced a significant setback when it was discovered that they did not have the proper rights to mine their primary location, Cahoon Creek. They were forced to abandon the site after a dispute with the claim owners, abruptly ending a major storyline and leaving viewers wondering how such a critical oversight could happen. Sometimes the biggest problems aren't about gold, but about people. Everyone was shocked when Chris Dumit, who had worked for Parker for 10 years and was one of his best friends, suddenly quit. He left Parker's crew to go work for Rick Ness, who was one of Parker's main competitors. To the fans watching at home, it felt like a big betrayal. It started a huge conversation about what it means to be a good boss and a loyal friend. And it showed how the stress of the show can break friendships apart. Even Tony Beats, the tough miner known as the Viking, got into real trouble with the law. In one episode, he wanted to do something that would look cool on TV. Fingers crossed. Better hope it works. There you go. I told you guys come hell on high water, didn't I? I like it. He had a crew member pour gasoline into a pond and set the water on fire. It made a giant fireball and looked very dramatic on the show, but the government was not happy about it. It is against the law to pollute the water. Because the whole thing was caught on camera, Tony Beats got into big trouble and had to pay a lot of money in fines. After everything, the broken machines, the giant Nugget, and the wild fan theories, did someone really salt the pan to save the season? Let us know. Like this video and subscribe now.